to everything. Turn, turn, turn. There is a season. Turn, turn, turn. And the time for every purpose under heaven.
What are we doing here?
Guys, what are you doing? You said purpose under heaven. What is the purpose under heaven?
We're out here at Sweetwater Sound, Tony. We're raising money for Izzy. He wants to take magic lessons again. Yeah.
Well, of course. I mean, the first time I took them, it went pretty well, but halfway through the course, the professor just went poof.
That makes sense with Izzy.
Well, yeah, I can see that happening.
Anyway. All right, well, we gotta keep going.
I don't know about you guys. We got to start the show.
Yeah.
This is crazy. What are they doing?
Good job,
A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, the time.
Izzy.
Okay, I tell you what, I'll give up on the magic lessons if we can get voice lessons.
I'm good for that.
Guitar lessons?
Yeah, let's grab your coffee. Let's go.
That was my coffee.
Don't drink that. I don't. Oh, Izzy.
Welcome to Between the Studs. We are Granite Ridge Builders, custom builders serving northern Indiana, northwest Ohio, and also parts of southern Michigan. We have been building custom homes for almost 2 decades, and we're really passionate about what we do. So join us today as we explore the processes, the trends, and also tips that characterize today's new home. Thanks for watching.
Okay, guys, is this like dueling guitars going on?
We're just getting tuned up here, Tony. Just getting tuned up. Yeah.
You're doing something right. Look at this. We collected a little grain.
Put it back out. Maybe we'll get some more.
Hey, we got to start the show. Cool. This is a very special edition to Between the Studs because we're out here at an amazing company called Sweetwater.
Yeah, Sweetwater Sound really is one of the most impressive and amazing companies in the United States. They have anything that you're going to need for your music, audio, video,
Guitars.
It does have the best band and orchestral equipment in the world as well.
And some of the best recording studios in the world. And it's not just Sweetwater, it's also Sweet Car.
And guitars. Okay, so let's tell our audience, why are we here? Why is a building company that's really interested in art, why are we here at Sweetwater today?
Well, as builders, we love architecture. It's really important. And music and architecture both have harmony. At our office, we have 2 sayings. We like to say music is like liquid architecture, and architecture is like frozen music.
Yeah.
Now, we talk about architecture, we can't forget about our favorite architect, Frank Lloyd Wright. He was quoted saying that architecture and music they belong together. They're practically one. And I feel like he really epitomized that at probably the best example, the world famous falling water.
Oh, sure, with all that water going through the house.
Yep.
That was. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, so you're not going to want to miss it. Architecture and music and Frank Lloyd Wright. But during that segment, I've got a really special story for you. It includes Simon Garfunkel and architecture. You're not going to want to miss that.
Now, we always talk about how music and architecture go together, and we talk about that because music has rhythm, it has proportion and harmony and balance. Music is so important in all of those elements, and it really does relate to architecture.
Yeah, and architecture has scale and mathematics, just like music.
Sure, it has balance, it has continuity, proximity. It really has almost the same thing, proportion, that music does.
Yeah, and one of the biggest trends of 2021 are new rooms. A lot of people are starting to put in music rooms for audio recording and everything like that in their new homes.
So guitar rooms, for example.
The ones that I think has been mostly requested right now is just the simple Zoom room. With so many more people working from home, people are looking for a place to be able to do these meetings and still be comfortable and look professional.
And so as we're talking about with your new home, we need to be able to talk about the audio, the acoustics, the internet, how we're going to marriage all these together into your perfect room.
Right. Okay, let's give a couple examples of some of the segments we're going to try to highlight today. Lonnie, which one are you going to do?
They have the most incredible guitar store here. There's going to be guitars.
That come involved?
Not at all.
I love piano, so I'm excited to talk about that today.
Oh.
We're going to touch on the history a little bit of how Sweetwater got its start and how it got to what it is today.
We'll hit organs as well.
Plus, we talked about it just a minute ago, but those Zoom rooms and the importance of making sure that we have everything ready just for you.
Did I mention guitars?
Okay, I think they've got an idea what we're going to be doing. Let's break off, and we're going to go ahead and show some of these amazing things out here at Sweetwater.
Izzy, do you mind?
You guys are buying lunch
I
today.
was gonna say, should we just go get lunch?
Bring something back.
Well, as we mentioned, today we are at Sweetwater Sound. What an exciting show we have as we look through this incredible place in this incredible neighborhood in Fort Wayne, Indiana, of all places.
Yeah, what a beautiful facility that they have here, Lonnie, and we're lucky to be able to be here and tour it.
We are. Let's talk a little history.
Okay, so Sweetwater actually got its start from a guy named Chuck Surek. He started this company in 1979 out of the back of this Volkswagen van here.
You are right. In fact, I remember this Volkswagen van. In fact, I remember Getz Road going down to Getz Road and making a track. It was a cassette track at the time by Chuck Surek, who was actually involved in the project himself.
Yeah. So how do we go from a Volkswagen van, a mobile recording studio, to this big facility that we see here, Lonnie?
Well, first of all, we have to think about Chuck's background. He was an incredible salesman at a very young age.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur, we might say.
Yeah, he started out making pot holders with a single loom. He would buy yarn by the van load, and then he would actually make the pot holders himself, sell them for 15 cents a piece or 2 for a quarter, Lonnie.
He also moved on to newspapers, and he figured out really, really quickly that if he go to an apartment complex and sell newspapers, there's a lot more people in a lot smaller place.
Yeah. So the turning point from that to what this has become today was in the early 1980s. The Kurzweil came out.
Yeah, the Kurzweil was this electronic piano, and it did all kinds of things. It did voices, it did guitars, it did orchestra, and he became a real professional on the Kurzweil. In fact, he made his own radio or library, music library.
He came up with the sound library for that keyboard, and that's what gained him national recognition. You know, he had the likes of Stevie Wonder and Kenny Rogers coming in to consult with him about these sounds.
And his business just continued to expand as he focused on recording and laying down cassettes and tapes and doing electronic things. He also was quite a musician himself.
Correct. And, you know, he really made the change from recording to sales when he struggled to find a music retailer that could fulfill his needs, that were knowledgeable and reliable in all of the areas that he is himself.
And today we're out here on US 30 and Cromer Road, Sweetwater Sound, an incredible complex. We're going to look at it today to go really deep into what Sweetwater's doing. You know, they're not only successful, but they're also doing something very significant for us and the world today as it relates to music.
Lonnie, I see some instruments over here that I want to try out.
Guitars.
I know you can play the guitars.
Let's go do it.
Lonnie, we know you're excited to talk about guitars, obviously.
I really am. You know, at Sweetwater, they are certainly known for their guitars. They sell over 550 every day.
I can't imagine that there's that many people that want to buy them, but obviously the demand is so high, and even for the past year, it went even worse than that. There was so much demand for it that there was almost not enough supply at all.
Yeah, and by the way, 550 guitars times 6 strings, what is that? That's a lot of strings. But anyway, we're really excited to be here to talk about guitars. And one thing that guitars and Granite Ridge Builders has in common is wood. We are both very, very concerned about wood.
Yeah, the wood species that a guitar is made from is definitely going to affect the weight, the sound, the tone of every bit of every one of the guitars. And so again, we know the Jenga rating would tell us again the hardness or softness of any kind of wood. And so there's so many different types of wood though that are used in guitars.
Right, ash and mahogany, for example, are very hard woods, and we're going to use ash and oak and mahogany in our new homes. Also pine, they don't use pine because it's too soft and it doesn't bounce the sound well enough. We're going to use pine and some of the woods they don't. But again, we're going to pay attention to the wood that we use in your home, and also if you're going to buy a guitar, in the guitar.
Yeah, my favorite guitar wood is swamp ash.
Don't say that. Don't say.
Yeah, let's skip that.
There's other woods.
It sounds too many. Yeah,
there's other
woods.
woods.
Sound right.
But we're going back, what, 3,500 years as far as the history goes?
Yeah, 1500 BC is the first time the guitar that we talked about, and it did start out more in this instrument that we called a lute, which is found even in the Bible.
That's in the Bible. Yeah, I think David maybe played. No, he played something else. He played a harp.
Yes,
but there's lutes. You're right.
It's a string instrument, and then an Italian luthier, which is a person who plays a lute, determined the 6-string guitar that we know now is that's how they made that, and kind of we've taken it from there.
Yeah, and Spain plays an important part of that history as well. But here at Sweetwater, you can buy a guitar, you can come in and have a guitar fixed, you can talk about guitar cases, which I need to do today, but it's all about guitars. And at Granite Ridge, we agree woods are very important, so come in and talk to us about the woods we're going to put in your new home and also your new guitar.
I've got a guitar picked out, Vic.
Yeah, that pink one back there.
I'm telling you, you guys are making fun of me, but I'm telling you, dude, I was, born in the 80s or raised in the 80s, and this thing would rock with some guitar stuff.
You're looking good.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the drums, Steve Boffman. So Steve is one of our property managers at Granite Ridge, and he's been playing drums for 30 years, right, Steve?
At least.
Yeah.
Now, I was excited that we got to talk about drums because as kids, I think we all got out the pots and pans and the spoons and played drums.
Of course.
But there's a lot of history when it comes to drums.
Yeah, they date back all the way to 5500 BC. It started out, the oldest drum that we found in history is called the alligator skin drum. So it was found in China, alligator skin stretched over a wood base, and that's how they made the drum sound.
Right, and it was used for ceremonies and religious purposes. Really got people to dance and feel that, whatever that force working over them.
Yeah.
But then it kind of morphed into a few other things.
Yeah, so it went into communication purposes, military applications, so that way they could signal what they were trying to communicate from long distance away, because obviously they didn't have the communication technology that we do today.
Right, but then there's also the iconic, battle rhythm where people are marching into war. Not only would they be marching in unison, but it would start to pump them up, and they'd start to feel that, kind of take over them. And it's a well-known fact that they would fight harder in a battle with drums playing.
That's amazing. So Steve is playing that sound here on what's called
the snare drum.
The snare drum. So how does that drum get its raspy sound?
It gets this raspy sound from all these little snares or little wires that are on the bottom side.
Yeah. Now
as it hits the head, the vibration creates the rasp.
Now, the whole drum set that we see here really didn't come around until about the 1900s. That's when they started selling it as kits, but there are a lot of parts and pieces to this. Now, behind me is a wall of these are called cymbals, right? And there's probably 200 on here. I had no idea. I thought they all pretty much were the same thing. But it makes that more of a clang, ting noise as opposed to the drums, but that's all part of that percussion. These came around in about the 1300s.
Yeah. So let's go over a couple other pieces of this set that we have here, Steve. So these drums that are setting up top, what would you call those?
I would call these the toms or the tom-toms. And those are just different sounds of toms. They started out
deep
as
sound.
Yeah, as a timpani, and they were able to adjust the tone on the fly. But as they evolved into the drum set, that's where you have the stationary tone.
Now, this big drum that you have that you're playing with a foot pedal, what would you call that one?
You call that the kick or the bass drum, and then just play that with your foot. That's all you need.
Okay, and then let's talk about a couple of the drums that you have set over here that aren't on your typical set.
These are hand drums. These are the bongos. You got a couple different sounds.
They always come in at least a set of two, right?
Set of two, and then you got your congos also, which are a little bit bigger, and they usually sit on a stand, but those have a deeper sound also.
Now, you mentioned the first drum came from China. These originated from Africa, so there's a lot of different ways that percussion, that drum took place. Now, all this talking about drums, how does this tie into new homes? It's got to be the rhythm.
The rhythm,
yeah,
and the construction. You can talk about how much craftsmanship it takes to put a drum set together.
Right. Now, you talk about the rhythm on drums. Rhythm in architecture is when you're repeating lines or shapes or windows. That's what creates the rhythm, especially on the front exterior of a home. So drums create the rhythm. We got rhythm in architecture.
Yeah, we do. Play us out, Steve.
There's joy in the house of the Lord. There's joy in the house of the Lord today.
Kayla, are we getting ready for Sunday?
Absolutely. As being a part of the worship team at Pathway, they teach you a lot of different things about how to hold a microphone. You need it close to your mouth, things like that. So it's really fun to be here at Sweetwater to kind of marry everything together. I work at Granite Ridge, but I'm also able to enjoy my passion of singing.
It's really interesting when you look at what Sweetwater has accomplished over everything, and one major part of their component has been the church. And churches all around the country, they have a dedicated team here that just helps up set up light and sound and how to marriage all that together, including with the video equipment that they do here at Sweetwater.
You know, it's really important for churches to have all of that equipment and to have people come in and to be able to have a wonderful experience when they're worshiping. And we're going to talk a little bit more here in a minute about how the church kind of started with the music and how orchestras and bands came in together with all that and how it's progressed over the years. So let's go talk in the other room and show you some of that stuff.
Kayla, one thing that is amazing about the Sweetwater campus is we were in a great room that was just showing how they do setups for churches and schools and different organizations, and we started talking about orchestras and bands, and we literally took 20 steps, and here we are.
You know, there's so much here to take a look at, and there really is a lot of different pieces and parts when it comes to putting orchestras together. That is made up of 4 different parts. You have your wood instruments, you have your string instruments, brass, and percussion.
And we have so many of those here that you can take a look at. We have the violins, the cellos, the string basses on top of all the guitars and everything else here.
Absolutely. Now, I used to love playing woodwind instruments. I was a clarinet person myself in grade school, which I cannot play anymore by any means, but I love the instruments like the flute and clarinet. We have the saxophones and oboes, which are really neat.
The interesting thing about the whole thing is it is bringing together the woodwinds, the brasses, the strings, getting them together as one big team to make any band or orchestra, whether it's school or church or professional. It's the same thing that we do with home building. We have to bring together our team of professionals to make sure that we are putting everything together just perfectly for your new custom home.
Hey, I think we really need to go look at the brass instruments. We didn't even talk about that. We have the trumpet, we have
You
the
played
trombone,
clarinet.
the
I never got above a recorder. Hey, guys, if you're here, who's running the actual equipment?
Yeah, we're looking for experience. And by the way, these guys, this is Justin, this is Brendan, this is Mick. They've got decades of experience as it relates to audio and video stuff. This guy alone has been doing church audio stuff for over 20 years. Doesn't look that old, does he? But anyway, hey guys, thanks for all your efforts. If it weren't for these guys,
We wouldn't be able to do this show if it wasn't for these 3 guys right
thanks,
here
guys.
and a couple
Thanks,
other people
thanks.
on our staff.
But go take those cameras out of Tony's hands, would you please?
And can you try to make Lonnie look a little bit better? I mean, I know it's not easy, but
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
when we're talking about recording equipment and things in your home, there's so many different aspects to take a look at it. And one of these aspects is managing sound.
Right. At Granite Ridge, we have never had a time when more and more people have ever come in and said, hey, I want to talk about a sound room in my home, in my basement, someplace in the home. And so we got to talk about the floors.
Yes.
We got to talk about the walls, and we got to talk about the ceiling, what we do in those areas, particularly to manage sound.
The other portion of this is light, because we have more people doing more things in these recording studios, not just audio, but sometimes video. Izzy, what are some of the keys that we do to managing light in there?
Yeah, we really are focused on that kind of thing. A lot of times when you think of a sound room, people immediately think of just the ambiance. You want that vibe in there when people are working and doing their art. But also task lighting is so important, and so we really want to make sure that we've got task and ambiance inside a working studio.
You sure do. And when it comes to floor, you know, the interesting thing is it may be carpet that serves the purpose best as far as managing sound. The walls, the right insulation, they got special boards that we can put on those walls. And then the ceiling, again, insulation. The right products in that particular room will make all the difference when it comes to audio and video.
So when you're looking at building your custom house and your custom recording room and you're going to talk to Granite Ridge, that's all we need to know. We just need to know you're looking at building one of those, and we will ask the specific questions to get you exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, we may come into Sweetwater here and begin our discussion about that room right here, and then come to Granite Ridge Builders.
And if you really want to have fun, Izzy can make your voice sound like Mickey Mouse.
Give me a low voice. Give me a low voice.
All right, we'll make it over here.
Luke, picture this. 1955, Taliesin West in Arizona. Frank Lloyd Wright had an amazing complex, and one thing they were doing, 7 o'clock at night till 2 in the morning, they were playing the piano and they were listening to music.
Huh. So they had all of those draftsmen sitting around listening to music.
Yes, and his whole world was about 2 things. Architecture, he was probably the most prolific architect in the world at that point in time, and he also loved music.
Yeah, and some could say the reason he was such a good architect was because his upbringing all had to do with music.
That's right. His father, his grandfather, were all prolific preachers. In fact, Frank Lloyd Wright was seen using the bellows of an organ when he was a very, very young child. He loved also to listen to Bach, Beethoven, and symphonies, and all that was incorporated into his architectural designs.
Right, and he equated architect to music quite a few times. He has a couple different sayings. Let's unpack a few of those.
Yeah, the one that I really love the best, and that's this, is music is liquid architecture, and architecture is frozen music.
Yeah, and he did say that if architecture could be heard, it would be music.
Yeah, and he said that it was all in one, music and architecture. So, think of this. The one at Falling Waters.
Yeah.
That probably is the easiest one to picture flowing water right through the middle of the house.
Right.
And all the designs.
Yeah, and he loved to listen to Beethoven, Bach. He loved listening to all those symphonies. So like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, for example, it was built on 4 notes, and then it built off of that. And it's kind of like Falling Water. He went out there, he found one rock, and he decided, okay, this is what I'm going to build this masterpiece off.
And I think then he took concrete. He took brick.
Yep.
And all the rock portions and made that his basically symphony.
Right, and then he tied it even into the furniture, right? He took it even that far. So those little details, just like a symphony, the little details is what makes it a masterpiece.
So I think we've shown you architecture and music are absolutely connected. Now, I said I was going to tell you a really, really good story.
Yeah.
And here's what it is. What does Paul Simon, Art Garfunkel, music, and architecture have in common? Well, back in 1970, there was a prolific breakup between the two gentlemen. Paul Simon wrote a song, and one of those songs that he wrote was Bridge Over Troubled Water about the breakup.
Yep.
There was another one that he wrote that Art Garfunkel did not know. And first of all, Art Garfunkel graduated from Cornell University with an architect degree.
Wow.
So he wrote a song called So Long, Frank Lloyd Wright, in reference to their breakup, and didn't even tell Art Garfunkel. He didn't know it for a year. Wasn't real happy when he found out, but that was all about it. It said, so long, Frank Lloyd Wright, architects come and go. Interesting story.
Elizabeth, we are here in the middle of the Sweetwater store. It's almost like you're in the middle of the mall right now with all the activity and everything going on around us. And the nice thing is we can talk about one of the most important things, and that's the Zoom rooms.
That is, so many people are Zooming from home. And one thing we're talking about in this show is sound, and sound is important when it comes to your Zoom room. So you may want to soundproof those walls.
Yes.
If you have other family members working from home or children, you want to make sure it's quiet when you're in these meetings. Lighting is important.
Lighting is very important because with a lot of the Zoom meetings right now, you're making your first impression on a lot of people, and that is the sound, that's the lights, and that's everything surrounding you in this area.
So make sure the lighting is in front of you, not behind. Your sound is right, and of course make sure your camera is in the right location. You don't want to be looking down at your camera, you want to be looking eye level.
The other main component is what people are seeing behind you and your background with all. If you have questions about Zoom rooms or backgrounds or sound or video or lighting or anything for these special rooms, just please give us a call.
At Granite Ridge Builders, we are all about custom specialty rooms, and right now we're really getting into music rooms. Now when I think of music rooms, it does make me think of the first kind of theaters when they were outdoors and the amphitheaters that were round. Over the years we've found out that a music room has the best acoustics when it's a rectangular room. So we want to make sure we're designing our specialty rooms in such a way that it is the best for sound and lighting and all things like that, and the size we're looking at is maybe a 13 by 21 room size.
And the location is important, depending on your musical needs. Now, if you have a piano, you maybe do want that in a central location in your home. And things like rugs are going to be really important to help with the sound. But if you have a band or your child plays an instrument, you might want to have a room down in the basement where it's a little more hidden, soundproof those walls.
Absolutely.
Lighting is also important. Sometimes a little bit of natural light, but you want the lighting to help you see your music. Also, you want it to give you that feel too, have the right effect on you, put you in the right mood.
Absolutely. Now when you're talking about feel, we always want to get into the color of the room, and the most important color for that it sparks creativity is blue. Now another important color that you want to really think about when you're talking about music and things like that would have to be yellow, because yellow creates a lot of emotion and creativity as well. So those are the two colors you want to think about when you're looking at the rooms, but have a little bit of fun with it too. Like this room that we're sitting decorating in here, a lot of people do like to decorate their rooms with their special instruments or things that they're used to and playing, whether it be pictures or actual instruments. It's a lot of fun to have a little bit of creativity in those rooms. Okay, I think it goes where you put your hand there and you, and then and start. Okay, I think something like that.
We have had a blast out here so far at Sweetwater. Chuck Surek has really built an empire of a lot of different things, and he built it all off of one basic saying, and that is always do the right thing. And it always started with Sweetwater, and then it went into Sweetwater music, and then it went into so many other things. I had Mike print out a list for me so he could just read them off.
Yeah, so like you said, Tony, started off with Sweetwater. Sweetwater Band and Orchestra came from that, Sweetwater Studios, the Sweetwater Academy. And then that all ties in with All Pro Integrated Systems. So they set up a lot of those churches and things like that.
Yes, they did. And then they went in and they started up the CLYDE Theater, and then they had the club room at the CLYDE and the Crescendo Music and Coffee at the CLYDE. And then they went into even more things. I did not know this, but they have Longe Optical. They have Sweet Aviation, Sweet Helicopters, and my favorite of all of them, I know this is the flagship, but Sweet Cars is my place to go.
Yep. And then there's a half a dozen other ones that fall under that umbrella as well. So like you said, Chuck Surek really created an empire here in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Thank you for everything you do, Chuck.
You know, Steve, I got a fever. You know, I retired from DJing recently, but I still have got to introduce you to our merry band of misfits here tonight. We're going to close it out the right way here with a great introduction. We got Tony on the cajon. Got Uncle Steve on the bongos. We got Lonnie on the guitar. We got Luke on the tambourine. Elizabeth on the bongos, very nicely done. Tony's got a little shaker going for us. We got Mike on the djembe. Hey, Kayla, why don't you tell us a little bit more about our wonderful place here?
Hey, you guys need to stop. This does not sound so good. Well, I'll say some good facts while they take a break here for a second. So for the Sweetwater location, it is really awesome that we're able to do the show here today. I have some interesting facts for you all. This campus is on 100 acres, which was purchased from the North American Van Lines in 2006, where they would train the trucking companies. It has grown so much over the years, and I need to make sure I get this right. They have over 352,000 square feet in this building. Wow. They have 480,000 square feet in their distribution center. This store alone that they just did, which is absolutely amazing, is almost 45,000 square feet for this showroom here. So they're approaching almost 1 million square feet in their campus here, which is absolutely incredible, and we're really excited we were able to be a part of it.
Kayla, you're right. This is a beautiful showroom. And as a reminder, Granite Ridge Builders also has a wonderful showroom, and we invite you in to take advantage of what we have to offer in new homes.
And you might even be able to see some of these misfits around, but we got to close. This was not good. Kayla, would you close for us?
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for joining us today. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do so well, please pick up the phone and give us a call. Visit our website, or even better yet, come into our showroom. We'd love to talk to you about how architecture and music are one.
I think we can take this on the road. Can we?
What are we doing?
Guys, I don't think so. I think we got it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Lighting, gear, anything that you could want. Guitars.
It's got that
wasn't very And we may need to start right here at Softwater Sound.